More gang, the Epstein files is still raging on. Everybody's still talking about it. And one of the craziest rumors that's been going around is that the idea that Epstein might actually still be alive and that he might have been swept out of the jail before his death that might have actually been faked. Now, this sounds ridiculous. It sounds very far-fetched. But when you actually start looking at some of the stuff that's been going around about this, some of the information, some of the posts, the theory starts to become a little bit more believable. So in this video, I'm going to break down some of these theories. I'm going to show you some of the evidence, some of the speculation about Epstein's alleged death fakery, and it might surprise you. It might just surprise you. So a lot of it went around, okay, based on this anonymous 4chan post. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, anonymous 4chan post, what does that mean? Well, it is actually very interesting, okay, and this is a conspiracy theory that has been going around for quite some time. And basically, immediately following his reported death, okay, this post started going around, and it contained details that were dismissed at the time, but later on started to look a little bit more accurate based on later information that came out. This person said, not saying anything after this, please do not try and dox me, but last night after 4:15 a.m. count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single-man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to our tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. Sounds like some baloney. Sounds like a hard one to believe. But as time went on, okay, now we get to 2026, the end of January, and that's when these leaked documents have now provided the first concrete evidence that that information shared years ago might have actually been accurate. Okay, this is a post in r/Epstein, which is booming right now. This says Epstein files alert. This is huge. And that's the post that we saw. Okay. Now, let me read you the post. It says, the individual who anonymously posted on 4chan on the morning of Epstein's death, August the 10th, 2019, claiming he witnessed weird happenings at the prison before Epstein's death, has been identified in the Epstein files. Roberto Grivala was an officer at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. He's been identified as the anonymous prison employee who posted on 4chan claiming Epstein left his cell Friday evening, shackled in a wheelchair, while at the time an unauthorized trip van arrived at the prison, which he believes took Epstein away the night before the news broke of his death. Now, how crazy is that? It says in the FBI files, it confirms that that was a post really made by somebody who worked at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, and he's been identified. Now, the day after Epstein's death, U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman of the Southern District of New York opened a grand jury proceeding and subpoenaed 4chan, Apple, AT&T, and Citibank for records aiming to uncover his identity following the anonymous 4chan post. His name is not redacted on his bank records that were included in the Southern District of New York subpoena response from Citibank for his 4chan post, and ties to the same prison officer, Roberto Grivala, whose statements were released as part of the prison's investigation into Epstein's death. This is huge. We now have validation that the 4chan post from August the 10th, 2019 is a legitimate eyewitness account from an MCC prison officer that Epstein might have been switched out before news broke of his alleged suicide. So let's see the evidence. That was the post. And this is basically the FBI report. They got his IP address. They said that he posted in poll. They basically reproduced the actual comment there. This is in the FBI report. This is them basically getting not only his name, but also his signature that connects to his bank accounts. This is a memorandum from the government. It proved that he was working there. Okay. Basically, on Friday, approximately at 1:50 p.m., Grivala passed on to oncoming staff member Officer Davis was present with shift staff Shakir and Joyner. That inmate Reyes was going WAB and may not return. Also, the inmate Epstein might be needing a cellmate on arrival from his attorney visit. So it was true. It really, like, that was a real person who was working at the jail. How crazy is that? Now, people in the comments, they're saying, I feel bad for this guy. He's got to be scared for his life. They're saying, me too. He's absolutely cooked. What a whistleblower, though. The subpoena proves that the government was broadly complicit in this entire operation. It says, as of 2023, he was still employed, but going to trial for hurting an inmate. And they're saying the trial could have been fabricated to silence him. It says all prison guards routinely harm inmates. Maybe that's normal. Now, this is the complaint against him. Basically says that he took someone out of the cell on a pretense of removing a soiled mattress. While they were handcuffed, he grabbed him around his arm, slammed him to the ground, and damaged his right knee and testicles. So that doesn't sound that crazy to me. But people saying, please don't dox me. Immediately doxed. Immediately doxed. They're saying this is crazy. Commenting mostly so this gets pushed, but because I feel like this is probably the best evidence we're going to get. I hope someone has downloaded these files. Okay. People saying... All right, this is hijacking your comment. The 4chan post pictured here was likely not made by Gravala. See 4chan post from that morning here. The third 4chan post, the one about the swap, came from a different IP address than the other three and locates to Chicago. Here's the unredacted file. The subpoena for the phone records, bank records, etc. is where the name Roberto Gravala appears. Only includes the IP address belonging to the first and second and fourth posts. So see page 20. The third photo in the post comes from this file as well in response to the subpoena page 83. So it appears that Gravala might be responsible for the post about Epstein dying and the medical information, but it doesn't appear he was responsible for the first post about the swap, and I can't find any more info about that in the IP files. Possibly a 4chan troll who saw Gravala's post and ran with it. They were later deleted, it seems, since it's listed under deleted records. People are saying it's not necessary to turn on a VPN for your IP to be located as Chicago. They're saying 4 posts as the original IP, then a post from a different IP 14 minutes later, halfway across the country, then the original IP 3 minutes after, so it makes no sense for that to be the same person. Very, very interesting. So what are they saying on here? So that was that post. That was the original post that we saw. It says first post above claiming Epstein was dead at 8:16 Eastern time wouldn't be reported until 8:56 a.m. So they seem to know about 40 minutes before the mainstream news knew. This says worked in the A-Stole arrest for 40 minutes. AL's intubated in the field. Epi 2 liters NS infused. Telemetry advised bicarbon D50 in field. Transported to Lower Manhattan emergency room. Worked for 20 minutes. Called hospital administrator. Was alerted. Preparing statements. It says every post above the post to the left was made before Epstein's death was reported in the mainstream news. So all of these posts was called out as a cardiac arrest in the Manhattan detention facility. So they're saying that everything here, basically, they knew 40 minutes before the mainstream media reported it. So this is the IP info, and it says that there were 2 different IPs that were associated with, I guess, this person. I mean, it could be the same person from a different IP, but it basically says the first 2 posts were from the 107 IP, then the third post was from the 172 IP, and then the fourth post was from that original IP. So this is post number ending with 57, and that's the third post that is to the separate IP. And I guess they couldn't prove where that one came from. So maybe it was, this is getting very, very confusing and scary. Okay. So this is basically the FBI report. I think it said page 20, right? So this is basically a subpoena for the information related to the IP addresses that were collected, and it says they want all from AT&T. They want all subscriber identifying information, name, address. The fact that they can get this, any scammers, finessers, dodgy internet people out there, like you be doing crazy stuff on the internet, they can subpoena. They get your name, they get your social security number, your MAC address. They'll find out what browser you was using. Was you on Chrome or was you on Microsoft Explorer? Bill Gates definitely doing some Microsoft exploring with Jeffrey Epstein. But anyway, was page 83. So apparently, so this basically says account details. So this is what they basically gave up in response. Okay. But, the affidavit from Citibank, and then they got his bank account records, but it doesn't seem like they had, somebody else. We enclose a CD containing bank records. Please email me for the password. So they hand over everything. If this is anything, this is definitely proof that, look, if you do dodgy shit on the internet, they're going to subpoena your information. The FBI, all these rappers, they think they can line up murders in DMs, bro. They're going to get every check you've ever deposited. They're going to get your whole shit. Everything, your name, your address. We got your whole bank. We got this whole statements. What's he spending his money on? Let's have a look. All right. This is getting a bit silly now. And this appears to be a joint account with his missus as well. Checking and savings $3,000 at Citibank. Should have been taking some kickbacks from Jeffrey Epstein, really. But it is absolutely crazy. Now, interestingly enough, okay, a lot of people have been running with this body replacement theory, and the YouTuber Coop actually touched on this theory in more detail. But basically, I'm going to be careful with what I show you here, but there's basically a pretty crazy video.
That being said, we can...
Ooh. Okay. Wait, I want to make sure, because I just seen Jeffrey Epstein's body. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm glad I took it off screen. Okay, but I think we're good now.
Disprove this being Epstein's body well before the autopsy photos than any direct on shot of his face could. And it's this skeezy little angle we get of Epstein's ear, or very clearly not Epstein's ear because they don't even remotely match one another. So unless Epstein got new ears while in prison, this is not his body, which leaves us to wonder whose it is then. I've seen and read many theories, including a body double for who this could be, which is possible considering Epstein's countless millions of dollars he poured into his foray into human cloning, which, no joke, check out the Zorro Ranch video if you haven't seen that. My personal theory, though, is that this body looks a ton like the brother of Hillary Clinton, named Tony Rodham, who died just a handful of weeks prior to Epstein. And here's a photo of what he looks like. And no, I'm not lying to you, the man on screen is not Jeffrey Epstein. That's actually Hillary's brother, and you are not mistaken.
Don't tell me they used Hillary Clinton. Don't tell me you telling me they used Hillary Clinton's dead brother as the body double for Jeffrey Epstein. Bill and Hillary putting in work in every possible way. I wish I had a friend like Bill and Hillary Clinton. I swear it's crazy.
They can think that they could practically be twins. In fact, here's a side profile of him playing golf with Bill Clinton. The resemblance
Oh, don't play with me, man.
Is uncanny. And the ears too, based on what I've seen, seem to show a lot of similarities with that of the body on the gurney, but it's hard to tell because photos of Tony are not exactly bountiful. It is interesting though that Tony's nose most certainly has more of a hooked shape like the body on the gurney, which Epstein's most certainly does not. However, that is not nearly the only thing about this photo that makes it so suspicious, not by a long shot. Indeed, the more compelling argument is about the photo with
Bruv, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's actually crazy brazy, and I can't believe I've accidentally shown Epstein's body numerous times, but it is what it is. Okay, I'll blur that out. But even more suspiciously, okay, forensic expert Dr. G would open up about the situation and basically conduct an analysis.
Now the
DOJ, here it comes, of the jailhouse footage, okay, and confirm that there were key segments of the footage where, you know, just footage just conveniently went missing. Now, again, I've said it before in videos, like, you really want us to believe, like, you really think we're that dumb that we're just going to believe, like, oh, whoops, just a little bit of the footage went missing, but it was probably nothing. Bro, you think we're so fucking dumb. It's obvious. Like, it just so happened little bits of the footage went missing. Are you serious? Like, obviously something nefarious was going on.
Jay released days and days and days of footage of this hallway, going all the way back to August 7th. But I want you to pay attention to what happens on August 9th, close to midnight. Now, I had always said that I thought that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered around midnight, a little bit after. So as you can see, right now it's at around 2,300 hours. So this would be around 11 p.m. at night. And then all of a sudden, once we get to August 10th, it's going to skip to 1 a.m. Now, since that footage skipped, I figured, let's skip ahead. Let's see what happens around the time that Jeffrey Epstein's body was found. But when we reach 2 a.m., it in fact skips to 9 a.m. So that chunk of time is missing as well. So any time that anything significant happened around Jeffrey Epstein, all of the footage from all of the other angles is entirely missing. Now, if
you think we're stupid, right? Like, you think we're so dumb. Like, we're just gonna, oh, you know, where's the footage? Missing. What, from 2 a.m. till 9 a.m.? Just missing. You got footage from either side. Yeah, got the footage from like 1 a.m. Got the footage from 9 a.m. Either side, it's just missing. Do you like, you really think with that like, you think we're actually, you think we're so dumb that we would fall for that? You think I'm a joke? You think I'm some sort of joke? Okay, absolutely not. So he would break down basically more, okay, and shout out to Dr. G, I'm going to subscribe to him. He would explain more anomalies within the official autopsy report that just make the official version of the story just damn near impossible to believe.
Now we're going to look at the autopsy report by the medical examiner. I want you to keep in mind when we go through this, this is someone who is meticulously detailed, writes down every single scratch, bump, bruise, everything. So anything that stands out, anything that's not reported is noteworthy, or anything that is reported is also noteworthy. But the first thing we're going to look at is their description of Jeffrey Epstein's external examination. So one thing that is very interesting, because we've seen this talked about, is the medical examiner says the genitalia are atraumatic and of a normal circumcised man. Now, that doesn't sound particularly exceptional, but if you've followed this case, if you have followed the way that he has been described, some people have described his genitals as lemon-shaped, as extremely deformed. That's a literal quote. So the question is, why is it here described as perfectly normal? Now, that could be that the way it was described by somebody else was inaccurate, or maybe this is inaccurate. He cannot both have deformed genitalia and also have normal genitalia. This is someone whose descriptions are so incredibly detailed. That is not the kind of detail that you would think would be left out. So that stands out as extremely strange to me. Now, I don't know.
Now, severely deformed genitalia is a hilarious way of putting it, right? And that is it's kind of a burn to Jeffrey Epstein. But anyway, okay, since all of this has been circulating, okay, Redditors have successfully tied Epstein's known email addresses to recent online activity, suggesting that his digital footprint has actually continued. Okay, this is a post in the r/Epstein. It says, evidence that he's alive. The previous one was taken down by Reddit. Okay. The first evidence that indicates that Epstein is alive is here and in your hands. We all know that Epstein had multiple emails. I'm going to expose all that later with evidence, but the main mail remains the one we know, jeevacation@gmail.com. This mail was the main. According to the court, the new Epstein should have been in prison in 2019. Will know apparently Epstein loved to play chess since 2013 with the multiple emails he created. He did create 2 accounts on chess.com. The first account was banned for unfair gameplay. The second account was created in 2021 using the email address jeevacation. But here you will ask me and say he can create an account without verifying it, and here comes the mind-blowing thing. Epstein's first account on chess.com wasn't actually banned until later, so Epstein actually played 1v1 with himself from the account he created in 2013 and the one he created in 2021. Surely he just had someone else using the other account. That's insane. That's insane. Okay. That's what? 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 Jeffrey Epstein playing himself on chess.com in 2022? Are you serious? Jeff@gmail.com is a bit crazy. That can't be right, can it? People saying this is major. Now look, okay, is this is really interesting, right? Is this proof of anything? This Jeff@gmail.com makes me think this is cap. This one makes me think we're looking at some cap, okay? But Jacob is awesome at chess. They're saying the Jeffrey Drip was closed for violating the fair play policy. Jeffrey Drip versus your mum's age. But that's not the email address they say. jeevacation. First seen July 21st, 2021. Last seen February the 3rd, 2026. No way. That can't be right. That can't be right. Listen, man. They're saying Jeffrey Epstein's still alive and he's playing chess. They're saying Jeffrey Epstein's still playing 5D chess, all right? And this chess, not checkers. So oddly, okay, further evidence has been linked to an active account, weirdly enough, on Fortnite, okay? Is Epstein still alive? This is in the Asmongold subreddit, okay? Hello, Little Saint Jeff, all right? YouTube receipt. Now, this is 2014, okay? Little Saint Jeff. This basically was an account that was created, okay, to his JE Vacation account from YouTube, okay? Purchased Frenzy from YouTube. And it says, on the Epstein files, there's a receipt from YouTube where his username is Little Saint Jeff 1. And if you search this account up on Fortnite Tracker, you can see there's an account with this name. And in the Epstein files, it showed that he did purchase V-Bucks. And if you look at his profile, he's ranked silver. 1 is in its chapter 5, season 1, which would have been after his death. Little Saint Jeff. Alert, the $29.95 charge was for V-Bucks on Fortnite. A PDF creep definitely would buy V-Bucks. He would definitely keep some V-Bucks on deck. They're saying he's playing chapter 5, season 1. They're saying that came out after he died. That's very interesting, right? People say, what timeline is this where V-Bucks purchase history would be the evidence of the biggest cover-up in history? They're saying, I wonder if he had a Roblox account. I would assume so, since he needed to get his pizza somewhere. Saying this bozo was playing Fortnite and faked his death because he was tired of interviews. All right. Is it possible that David and Jeffrey Epstein are still just playing Roblox together? He faked his death to finish the battle pass in peace. Completely normal and understandable. Yes, 100% he's alive. Of course he's alive and he's well. In Israel, he was a Mossad agent and they could have easily faked his death. Whatever the case be, how up your own ass do you have to be to use your main channel site Empire name as your online handle? He did not care about OPSEC one bit. You guys realize he's been seen playing kids game because he had a bunch of S-abused kids in his house? He's not playing these games. He's grooming kids. I really think he's alive somewhere. All right. Frenzy, what? The Alfred Hitchcock movie about a guy that R-words and strangles women, frames one of his friends for it, but gets caught at the end. Very interesting choice. All right. It's insane. It's actually insane. So even though some of this does sound like a whole bunch of nonsense, okay, there have been news outlets that have been reporting on the surge of these theories, and it's been circulating online. This is an article that says, is Epstein dead or alive? Bizarre theories surface after new files release. Is he just out somewhere chilling? Okay, he was found dead in his cell in August 2019. It was ruled a suicide, but there were conspiracy theories alleging that he didn't off himself. They're saying bizarre theories have surfaced about his death after a new batch of files were released. And though his death was ruled as a big sad, this did not hinder many conspiracy theories that already sprung up about him not offing himself. It says the theories have gone a step further to suggest he might even be alive. Photo of him have been shared to put the point across. And although these claims come from unverified profiles, whatever theories have been put forward, they haven't been substantiated, but people have been arguing on X. Is he alive? Is Jeffrey Epstein? If Jeffrey Epstein is dead and Ghislaine Maxwell is not, then Epstein is not dead. Ghislaine knows as much as him, so why is she still alive? Why are they not asking her question? Jeffrey is out somewhere chilling right now, probably. People saying, of course he's alive. Do you think the narcissist would off himself? Yet another remark in an email found in the Epstein files backs up the theory he's still alive, and that S-word was his grand deception, okay? This is an email found in the Epstein files backs up the theory that he's alive, and suicide was a grand deception. It says, working on signal intelligence, post will go up shortly. I have a question about math versus biology. I understand how math is based in truth, but I don't understand how biology is based in deception. He said, Jeffrey Epstein replied, he said, biological systems rely on a predator-prey relationship. A predator-prey relationship, in essence, attempting to capture the free energy of prey for their own use, food included. The prey needs to devise multiple methods to stay alive, the cheapest being deception, camouflage, misinformation, misdirection. Biological systems must engage in deception to stay alive. There's always a predator. So basically saying, that's him saying he has to engage in deception to stay alive. And they're saying, just another Epstein body leak there, just for me to go and blur later. So basically it says, mention of his autopsy photos was also made. The DOJ investigation report in 2023 deep dives into his death, jail cell, mental state, and autopsy photos. He apparently had sleep apnea, and his machine was found in his cell in perfect condition. His brother Mark said the cord would have been easier to hang himself with than sheets. Some shared photos to make their point. That's not Jeffrey on the autopsy table. They switched him with a similar body. Look at the shape of the nose and the ears. They're different. Definitely not the same person. He could still be alive. So this next one's pretty crazy as well, okay? They're talking about the fractures not working, but this is a tweet of somebody saying, this image was from after Epstein's death, shot by an anonymous drone operator 6 years ago. After seeing it, it made me start planning to go to the island to try and find him, which I did shortly thereafter. So they're saying a drone operator flew over the island, and there he was. He's still there. He's about. He's chilling. He's kicking it, right? It's crazy, okay? But to be fair, he says, despite unverified amplifying claims on X, there's no evidence to support Epstein alive. Grok fact-checked this, saying officially he died of S-word on August 10th, 2019, as ruled by the New York City Medical Examiner. But of course, Grok's owned by Elon Musk, who was desperate to go to the island. He's dying for an invite. Please, can I come to the island? Okay, but they say that the autopsy showed neck fractures consistent with hanging. Conspiracy theories claim murder or fake death due to lapses in the jail security and his connections, but no evidence supports them. They just want us to believe that he just did that to himself, and the cameras in the hallway just happened to be turned off those exact times. I don't believe it, but also I do feel like some of these theories are getting a little bit too far-fetched to believe. I think maybe the truth is somewhere in between. Like, is he still alive? Like, is he hiding out in Israel? All that kind of stuff people be saying. I feel like that just seems too far-fetched. But, like, could this guy have faked his death? Yeah, I think he could have. Just to me, the fact that the cameras weren't recording at that critical moment, that's enough to convince me that, like, bro, this is all lies. This is all cap. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Jeffrey Epstein is still alive? Do you think it's cap? I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm going to do a whole breakdown about Prince Andrew and his involvement. And also, there's a theory that Epstein has 10 bodies buried on a property that he has secretly hidden away in America, and it's not the island. So I'm going to do a video on that too. And then I think tomorrow I'm going to move on from the Epstein stuff because this stuff's so gross. I'm so tired of even thinking about it. But appreciate you watching the videos, man. I will catch you guys in the next one. I'm out, gang. Peace.